Welcome back to the ones who do. It's been a long halt, but today I'm super thrilled to have Avi Kumar on the podcast. He is the CMO of Ferns and Petals, and I must say he's a true marketing wizard. And he's decorated with awards left, right, and center. So let's get into some super cool insights and deal with some marketing magic. So welcome, Avi.
Hey Rahil, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. I just wanna make sure this goes well and you have a fun time and I get to know a lot of stuff and start the day off well. So
Yeah, looking forward. Looking forward to our conversation. I think it'll be an interesting one to hear from you as well in terms of what your questions are. How would you want me to talk about the things that are happening in my life, and how can we help others through this podcast?
yeah. So I wanna talk about something that's super it intrigued me a lot and it seemed like kind of unbelievable to me. So I'm a student right now, as I told you, and I'm studying psych and commerce, and I don't ever see myself stepping out of that bubble in my professional journey. I'll in my head, I'll only stick to kind of areas that fall under that scope. But I noticed you studied electronic and communications engineering in university, right? And to me, that's like a major shift. Like eng to marketing is like two worlds apart in my head. So can you tell me a little bit about what led to this huge shift in industries in terms of education to a professional career? Like what prompted the shift?
Let me take you through a little bit of my journey first, of my school and then my college, and a little bit of how then marketing happened to me. I did not know whether, commerce is the right stream for me, or whether science is going to be the subjects that I'm going to take, or arts fascinated me as much and more. At that point of time, because each and every subject has so much to offer, and there is so much to learn in each stream. So it was a tough decision after grade 10. At that time, it was more of what parents told me, what is it that the teachers advised. I was good in studies. Everybody, there was this thing about those who are good in studies need to go into
Yeah.
science and take maths and so on and so forth. At that point of time, in terms of selection of subjects, I did go for psychology, and I think it was a brilliant decision. I loved the
Yeah.
2 years, and thereon a couple of more of what I learned for psychology. And that not just helped me at that point of time. I scored the highest in psychology, by the way, not just
Hmm.
in the school, but overall loved the subject. It
Hmm.
still gives me so much of insight of what I learned that time to what I've read till now. That again brings me to the point that it's really not about the stream that you're selecting. It's not really about the particular subject that you are reading. It is about how focused you are when you're doing that, and how much you
Hmm.
enjoy doing it. uh, you could read a completely different subject in your grade 11 and 12, and then continue to do something absolutely different post your graduation, post your post graduation, and so on. It's important that whatever you're doing at that point of time, you enjoy that, you
Hmm.
give it your best shot, and you focus on where you are. Electronics and communication was a natural progression from science and maths.
Hmm.
That way I gave the regular competitive exams, got through it, and by that time also had developed a lot of passion for the subject and engineering, because I had learned that over the last 2 years, did my prep for engineering and so on, and I loved the stream that I was in, and
Yeah.
hence I went into electronics and communication.
Hmm.
Again, through my college, it was not just studies that I was focused on. I started off a cultural society in my college. I introduced a couple of, fests, which were inter college fests, and always wanted to do more than what was within the curriculum. I feel that science and maths makes you look at every aspect of life in a more analytical way,
Hmm.
in a more scientific way. While doing my engineering, I was looking at what are the options that I have post that,
Hmm.
and the entire gamut of management, marketing excited me. It was a stream that I was in some ways involved,
Hmm.
but I didn't know exactly what was in store for me. But I was very clear that I was always wanted to be in marketing. That was super clear in my mind. So then I gave my CAT and did my MBA, and from there on, my stream has been marketing. I got the opportunity of being the first management trainee of Oriflame Cosmetics. I got to travel a lot to a lot of places. It was a role where I was doing marketing, and at the same time, it was a very interesting role where I got to do a little bit of sales, a little bit of customer service. It was a general management kind of a role focused on a certain region.
Right.
So right from Delhi, the first posting that I got was in Kolkata, which
Hmm.
was supposed to be one of the toughest market for the brand. And they
Okay.
sent me there because I was a management trainee, and it was the toughest
Hmm. Hmm.
market. There on, my journey started in marketing. I've loved every single day. Every single challenge has been fun.
Hmm.
And that's how I ended up doing marketing. I still feel it is not about the function that you are in or the stream that you're in. I was in cosmetics and I shifted to media. From
Right.
media, I shifted to e-commerce. From e-commerce, I was doing social community app, which also had a leg of crypto and the entire Web3 space. And each one of them, the basics remain the same. And if you do anything with full focus and interest and passion,
Hmm.
then it is exciting.
Was it kind of daunting for you, like from college to your MBA? You did Eng, and then you are going on to an MBA. There isn't really like the any knowledge, at least I'm not sure, but any knowledge like transferable, because other people in an MBA would have done, I guess, a BCom who already had those kind of theories and that book knowledge already with them. So was it kind of daunting for you that, oh, it's such a jump?
So there are two aspects to MBA, right? The
Hmm.
getting into the MBA and doing the MBA.
Yeah.
So getting into the MBA, I think, is easy for engineer because maths or quant is
Yeah.
strong,
Hmm.
and you're able to crack that if you've got command over English and you're able to do the language part well.
Hmm.
Then CAT becomes not as much of a task. It becomes a little bit easier for you to get in. But you're absolutely right that once I got in, the entire commerce piece was
Yeah.
something. And like I said, I want to do marketing, and accounts and finance was a very
Hmm.
important
Hmm.
subject starting from your semester one. And that was a new learning. That was a new subject which I had to really press myself to do
Yeah.
first. I had no background. The last time I had even learned economics was in grade 10.
Hmm.
And post that, it was all science and science subjects and all of that. So yes, getting into the MBA school wasn't so difficult. It helped me, all the engineering and the subjects, and my interest in maths, quant, or any other subject helped me to crack CAT.
Yeah.
Post getting into an MBA school, there was a certain new plethora of subjects that I was exposed to,
Hmm.
and people who had come from, say, SRCC doing a economics honors, or a BCom honors,
Hmm.
knew accounts,
Yeah.
stats much better than what I did.
Yeah.
So that was a new subjects that I had to focus on and learn.
Yeah. But I guess you said if you're interested in it, you will like enjoy it and crack it. So that's fine too, right? Yeah.
Sometimes you have to look at the bigger picture.
Hmm.
When I look back now, if I did not learn accounting, if I did not learn finance at that point of time, I may not have been able to apply. And those basics that you learn at that point of
Hmm.
time also help you in your day
Okay.
to day, while may not be in your first year of work or in your second year of work, but gradually as you grow and expand your area of influence also starts to increase. And then you need to understand the basics of business 360.
Hmm.
It's not just about one marketing aspect. It is about understanding business 360, and any subject that you go through during your MBA, during your management course, helps you in some way or the other.
Hmm.
Still, I refer back to some of the books that I have. I've not given away those books.
Yeah. I mean, that's good to hear as a student because sometimes I think, where will I apply the stuff I'm learning? But it's good to hear that it still helps you and you still kind of use it in your day to day. But okay, moving on to my next question. It's kind of embarrassing, but I did do a little like stalking and I came across that you have a liking for posts surrounding like flowers and greenery. Like I saw a couple of those posts. So my question is, did this passion kind of, I mean, I'm assuming it's a passion, play a role in kind of taking on your role of Ferns and Petals because it like is considered as a florist chain and distributor, right? So did it kind of, that's why intrigue you to take on this role?
Before I was with Ferns and Petals. I've been at IGP Interflora also for some time. So that also exposed me to the entire category within the e-commerce space, which is of gifting, and it really excited me.
Hmm.
Uh, it's big space, gifting as an ecosystem, and gifting is a part of celebrations. Celebrations today are so important in our life, in our day to days. These celebrations are the moment of joy, and these can be the smaller moments, which may be as small as your manager saying, good job done,
Hmm.
or uh, one of your friends saying, oh, you look good,
Yeah.
to big moments of celebration like your own wedding or the first birthday of your newborn, and so on and so forth. The celebration scale can be very different from a small moment to the larger
Hmm.
milestones in life. But these are the moments of joy. And how can you make those moments of joy special is something I get very excited about.
Hmm.
I feel life is all about celebrations and
Yeah.
celebrating life.
Hmm.
And being at Fonts and Petals helps me to do that. When you send a gift to someone, it is to express a feeling.
Yeah.
And there is emotion behind that feeling that you want to deliver.
Hmm.
And that I feel is a very noble cause. That I feel is a very positive gesture to send across from the sender to the receiver. I like to be closer to nature. There are flowers and plants that I'm surrounded with, which makes it even more beautiful.
Hmm. Okay, so do you think, like you said, you're interested in these things, so do you think it's important to kind of take from your personal world and your hobbies and passions and kind of find work that aligns with it, or your work and your personal life are two separate worlds and you have to find joy in whatever your work is and it doesn't have to kind of align with what you like in your own life?
My answer about maybe 8 to 10 years back would have been very different.
Okay.
And now it is very different. And I'll tell you why.
Hmm.
So, one is that there is just life.
Okay.
We are the ones who compartmentalize into work life, into personal life, into X life, into Y life.
Hmm.
The basics of life are the same.
Hmm.
And that is what we need to live. We need to live life every day to the fullest, which
Okay.
is most important. And if you live life to the fullest, you live life in your personal space to the fullest, which is with, say, the time that you have with your family.
Hmm.
And same goes at your work also. You live that moment, that life that you are in office, at work, also to the fullest. And when you give time to each one of them and you are in the moment, giving your best, you feel fulfilled. When you feel fulfilled is when you enjoy it. It's
Hmm.
only when you don't do things and there is a certain amount of inaction, inertia that comes in any of the two places is when you start to, or any of your aspect of life is
Hmm.
when you start to feel um the struggle, or you start to feel that there is a certain amount of pressure that is there, and it can
Hmm.
be in any aspect of life. But I always feel that you should look life in one single frame and not
Okay.
just not compartmentalize it.
Hmm.
Keep the basics same across. The way you enjoy your vacation,
Hmm.
why not enjoy the same way
Yeah.
a project that you're doing? And if you can find a passion which
Hmm.
is which is your personal passion and you are working for it,
Hmm.
nothing like it. It is it is absolutely the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Why not do something that you anyway love doing,
Hmm.
and make it your profession, make it uh, you know your livelihood, and so on and so forth? Why not do that?
Hmm.
And even if not that, you should definitely do what you're enjoying.
Yeah.
If you're not enjoying what you're doing, then you should not be doing it.
Hmm.
Because that will mean if you're not enjoying it, you're not giving your 100%. And if you're not giving your 100%, it means that the growth that you, as a on a personal front, um, would would want, or would have from that particular area of life, will not be there. So it's very
Hmm.
important that we keep the love for what we do uh, there.
Yeah. I mean, this question was damn interesting to me because, like, when people start businesses, it's all about like starting something that resonates with you. But I've never like really heard people in corporate talk about, oh, the actual companies, like what they are selling and the vision actually aligns with. Like, nobody really talks about it. But yeah, it's interesting to me that it even kind of, works in that area as well. But I want to come back to what you said about how celebrations and creating joy is so important to you. So, Ferns and Petals, obviously, as you said, is all about like capturing those special moments with your loved ones, right? For instance, I just came across your Raksha Bandhan ad, and it beautifully like embodies the themes of love and tradition between siblings and stuff like that. So I'm curious as to how much of like what's in these ads the team derives from their own personal experiences of celebration and of tradition while crafting these commercials. Like brainstorming, you're like, oh, मैंने ये घर पे किया, we can add this, it will make the ad more emotional to the audience and stuff like that. Or is it like just surface level and nothing from your own personal experiences?
So I'm glad that you like the
Hmm.
new commercial that has just been released. Raksha Bandhan as a festival is amazing. There is research and development that happens more than a year before the day of the celebration. So in terms of what the trends are going to be, there is always one very strong, consumer insight
Hmm.
which is behind a successful campaign, a successful commercial, um, or any communication that you do with the consumer. So what is most important is a consumer insight.
Hmm.
Now that consumer insight can be derived from either doing consumer research.
Hmm.
You do consumer research and you find out, you talk to consumer, and consumer research can be either you can talk to the consumer directly.
Hmm.
You ask them a couple of questions, you listen, you hear, and then you analyze what they've said and take out a consumer insight. Consumer insight will not come in directly. They will never
Yeah.
say in as many words, but you'll have to infer it from what they are saying.
Hmm.
Or it will be derived from the consumer behavior. You may
Correct.
not want to talk, you are not talking to the consumer directly and asking the question, but in terms of their purchase, uh, you know, uh, uh, in terms of their purchase behavior, or in terms of how their searches are on Google, to what is trending today, all of those would give you a lot of these signals to the consumer insight that you may derive. That's the other piece.
Hmm.
Third, a lot of times you are yourself also the consumer. So I am privileged to be a part of a brand where I am also the consumer of the brand. There
Yeah.
can be at times you are not the consumer. So if you really say your brand or is targeting the rural population,
Hmm.
and within the rural population also say it is targeted to a certain um, mass of people who have a certain lifestyle, who have a certain way of living, then you need to tap into their consumer insights and you have to get into their shoes, because your own experience is not going to help. In fact, that is one of the mistakes that a lot of uh, early marketers do, is that they tend to color their decisions based on their own experience and their own perceptions, which
Okay.
may be very different from the consumer that they are solving for. If the consumer is different,
Hmm.
like a person who's sitting in a metro city, or who's sitting, in a air conditioned room, will never be able to understand why or what of a person who doesn't even have electricity at their home, and is what are the challenges that that person is facing. So at times your experience, your own, you as a consumer, knowing what is it that you need or what is it that your experiences have been, helps for the brand. At times either you have to learn, go into the market and learn them, so that experience can also be gained by, say, going into certain markets, and again living that life, speaking to those people and understanding the what are the triggers and what are the barriers for these customers and these consumers. And at times you have to go to that consumer and just ask them directly. It may work in some cases, in some cases it doesn't. For us, like I said, we are
Hmm.
privileged that we are also the consumer, so a lot of it is also derived from our day to days, our experiences, our emotional, connect that we have with our siblings, and everybody comes together. All of these aspects, from research to own experiences to multiple people coming together with certain insights, come together to really create a campaign and take it ahead to the consumer.
So as a marketer, if I don't have a sister or something, I cannot assume what a consumer would like in a Raksha Bandhan ad. I have to actually talk to consumers and, as you said, like conduct that research. You can't just assume, oh, they will resonate with this and stuff like that, because it may not align, right?
Absolutely. A lot of times, how I would today think is not the way a Gen Z would feel or behave. The lingo itself, the
Yeah.
way of approaching things is so different, and it is unique in their own way. So one is that yes, you get close to the consumer, and also you ask the consumer, you try to understand their psyches, their behaviors much better
Hmm.
than just assuming it what you would like. What I would like is not what everybody else likes. But a lot of times we start to think like that. Our perception becomes the reality, which is not the which may not be the case.
Hmm. Makes sense. Moving on, I think marketing is like a field similar to arts, wherein you can drive a lot of inspiration in terms of looking at other ideas that are already in the ethos and stuff like that. Like when I look at Cred's strategy, like what Cred is doing right now, I'm like, oh shit, even I want to do something like this, and I want to make cool stuff like this. So, did you have a similar experience in your early on years that, oh, like international anything, that, oh, you looked at a brand and you're like, oh, I love what they're doing, and I love their commercials, I love their strategy, and I want to do something like this, which kind of drove you further towards marketing, obviously.
Many brands, huh? There are so many global brands that are there. And like I said, that these stories that are, and the
Yeah.
storytelling that is there, uh, for each of the brands, make them what they are today.
Hmm.
You need a very strong product and a consumer insight, uh, which then gets converted in a job to be done for the consumer. That what, as a brand, are you going to solve for the consumer?
Hmm.
But how are you going to also communicate to the consumer about the job that you're doing
Yeah.
is very critical. It's
Hmm.
very important. Not just you have to continue, not just you have to do it once or twice. For a
Hmm.
brand, you have to do it consistently over a period of time. Consistency is the key.
Hmm.
Every time the golden arch of the McDonald's has to be that way, and that is what creates the memory. That is what creates, or the Nike swoosh has to be in a certain way. It is
Hmm.
the Nike swoosh. It's the taglines that not just they are not just taglines.
Hmm.
They are what the brand lives every day. That is
Hmm.
what the brand's promises on a daily basis and in everything that a brand does. So one part of it is the communication part, which is what you are doing, say externally through one of your campaigns or through, say, social media, etc. But other than that, also as a brand, how are you living that particular promise of the brand on a daily basis through your product, through whatever is happening within the organization, with the culture, and so on and so forth, is what really
Hmm.
creates that brand. And like I said, there are so many brands. McDonald's is there. There is Apple,
Yeah.
which is an example. It inspires so many from being minimalistic. When I say minimalistic, it means in minimalistic in terms of the design, minimalistic in terms of the number of SKUs. It's not that today Apple has multiple hundreds of types of phones that they do. They
Hmm.
only release one in a year, but
Yeah.
that one in a year is a rage for so many people. Every year, they look forward to buying the new phone or to upgrade or to shift from one phone to the other. And that happens when you're able to, get the product right, one, and from the product, you also get the the communication right, and so on and so forth.
Okay. So purely as a marketer, do you like when you switch on your TV, do you like prefer these commercials, these funky commercials? Like, for example, I think what Everest, which brings in Shah Rukh and Amitabh together, or do you prefer like well crafted, like vision on point, consumer problem solving on point, like a well crafted commercial? Which one do you prefer? Keeping your consumer mind aside, like as a marketer.
Yeah, I was just going to say that you cannot keep your marketer's mind aside once you become a marketer. Every campaign that you're seeing, you're not just seeing the communication as a consumer, but you are also evaluating and analyzing it as a marketer.
Hmm.
The way we consume media has changed a lot.
Hmm.
So traditional media has lost its relevance in some ways amongst a certain set of people and a certain set of society. I don't remember the last time I would have switched on a TV and really watched the ad,
Hmm.
because I'm a cord cutter, so
Yeah.
I would either consume my content on a YouTube or a Netflix or Amazon or a Z5 and so on and so forth, or it is on my phone, right? On Instagram or a Pinterest and all of those. So these are the main channels of both consumption as well as communication for me.
Hmm.
Now, within that also, I have mostly subscribed to the premium pack for each one of them.
Yeah.
So I don't see ads on YouTube. I don't see ads on Netflix anyway, and on other OTT platforms also. So my exposure to
Hmm.
ads has become much lesser. And when I say ads, it is the traditional ads that were there,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? However, that is where now the the concept of always on marketing is that today you are at any given point of time, you are conversing with the consumer in multiple ways through multiple touch points, and
Hmm.
those touch points have increased and gone beyond just the traditional TV ads
Hmm.
or print ads that were there. Today PR has a big role to play. Your product in itself, the way you package your product, the way when you use your product, how the brand communicates with you, the first email that you get once you've ordered the product, your first touch point there, all of those are also as important and more. And then how do consumers themselves, the first few consumers, the first 10 people who have used your product, have experienced your product, how are they talking about your brand? They then become in some way advertisers of your brand.
Right.
So how do you get that those loyalists of the brands? There are so many brands today. When we started to use them, I don't think we saw ad or a campaign for it.
Hmm.
But we used it because either we heard it from a friend, or we saw somebody else using it, or that the product was so strong that we wanted to use it.
Hmm.
And then, yes, the brand has interesting conversation and engagement with the consumer that that evokes you, that involves you, that makes you participate. And rather than being a one-way communication, it becomes a more participative two-way communication.
Hmm.
But yeah, as a marketer, going back to the question, I like the storytelling a lot, where you're in a very innovative way, tell the story of the brand through a simple consumer insight that may have been missed. Those are the campaigns that I get excited about. It is not about the brand ambassador that you use. There are brands who would have used a big ambassador, large, A plus plus celebrity like
Hmm.
Shah Rukh Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, and all of those also, and may not have been on point with the communication, with the consumer insight,
Hmm.
and that commercial would have fallen flat. Not just for me, but for so many, consumers who are watching it. It is about how you utilize that celebrity to convey the communication. How do you make them a part of the story?
Hmm.
Also, that plays a large part of the role. Yes, you will get the eyeball.
Hmm.
Once you see a celebrity's face, you'll stop and see. But
Okay.
what beyond that? Does it convert into action? Does the person remember your brand? Or does the just person just remember the celebrity and does not associate the celebrity with the brand?
Okay.
So there will be so many uh, factors that will lead into whether that campaign is successful or not. And not just for me, but also for the consumer.
So you don't think that if you attach a Shah Rukh Khan to the product, everyone will be like, हाँ मेरे को शाहरुख वाला product खरीदना है for eternity. Like you think that it also has to be like the vision has to be good. The masses would just be like, if they saw a celebrity they love, they would just use the product they are supposedly using on screen. But it doesn't work like that, you're saying.
And today, the consumer is very smart. They are
Hmm.
aware about what is happening.
Okay.
While, they see a person advertising and endorsing something, but due to social media,
Hmm.
everything information has become very democratic also.
Yeah. Fair.
So they also know what the daily life of a celebrity looks like.
Hmm.
What are they using? What are they doing? What are they not doing? And so on and so forth. And what is the brand also doing on a daily basis? So while, like I said, that the brand can get attention of the consumer through a celebrity, but how much influence will that celebrity have will depend on the product, will depend on the consumer, will depend on the connect. And there is no such thing as, 100% loyalty that
Yeah.
forever I'm going to be doing this.
Hmm.
Consumers want to experiment more. They want to try new things. They want to try, new brands. And they want to be exposed to multiple more options that are there within a certain brand. Also they are looking for more. So, and that's the reason why every brand is pushed and challenged to come up with new options, with new ideas, and on product innovation, but also amongst multiple brands and multiple categories. Also consumers want to experiment more. You may have a BMW, but the next time over you may not want to buy another BMW only. Or
Right.
if you want to buy one, then you would want to buy a different one. And same goes for any other thing that is there. You want to try, a lot of people want to try new stuff.
Hmm.
So loyalty is very, very expensive today, and we should be very thankful to the loyal customers or loyal consumers that are there for any brand. It means that the brand is doing something right, and the consumer has got a certain experience which is a good experience or a delightful experience.
Yeah. Also, you brought up that kind of social media democracy. So, is it kind of scary that so what I see on Instagram nowadays is that you'll see one top comment on a post with 30,000 likes, and then you just follow that voice and that belief of that top comment. So, is it kind of scary in terms of creating a brand that, oh, that one day somebody might comment something negative on FNP's post, and then people don't have minds of their own and they just follow that top comment because that's what's gotten the most likes. And you all don't drive the brand image anymore, but rather that random comment does.
People have a mind of their own. It's not
Hmm.
that they don't. However, yes, on social media, there are certain things that are there that are in your hand, and there are certain things which are not, which is democratized.
Hmm.
So, in some places, it is really good. And I feel it is good that today it has become democratic. It has
Hmm.
become more transparent.
Hmm.
We, as brands, as marketers, as business people, are challenged to be on our toes all the time and
Hmm.
to deliver the best experience possible. It was a consumer's world, consumer is the king, but it's only going and to become more and more and more.
Hmm.
And it's good for the consumer, it's good for the brand because the brand is also pushed to do better.
Okay.
See, while yes, there can be exceptions and there can be times when, people have also started to take social media because they know that social media pe kuch likhenge, so then it can
Hmm.
become sensational. It will get a certain eyeballs and they may get a tad faster than others. So people are also aware that their post is going to create a certain ripple effect, etc. And they put it with a certain purpose. And the issue may not be as big at times, but
Hmm.
still sometimes there is a issue, sometimes there is a challenge, and social media has given a voice to everybody
Okay.
equally, as much to a person who's got 100,000 following, but also to a person who's got no following. If that person also comments there and people relate to what that person is saying, then that voice can become much bigger.
That's interesting. That's an interesting point. So you're for it that social media like is better for the brand, even if sometimes there's negative evaluations and feedback.
Imperative. It's
Yeah.
imperative for the brand. I think the way, like I said today, my brand ambassador is not a celebrity. My brand ambassadors are my consumers
Hmm.
who are using my brand on a daily basis. They are the ones who click the picture and post it on their stories that, wow, what beautiful flowers, what a delightful gift from my sister, sibling. Thank you. They tag not just their sibling, but they also tag my brand FNP. And when that happens, that is when, X dollar of money spent would not have created the same kind of effect as a consumer talking about it, and a consumer who's not an influencer, who's just a user, a consumer.
That makes sense. That's an interesting point. Avi, now I want to kind of move into your professional journey. We obviously spoke about that, but I have like a question that I was very curious about. So I was going through things and I saw that right before FNP, you worked at a startup, right? Sure, the experience was super different because FNP is established. It's been here for like 30 years, as you said, and that was a startup. So, my question is when you go into a startup as opposed to an established organization, what's the difference in terms of the vision you bring as a marketer? Because in a startup, there's so much more to plan and so much more to implement, at least in my head. Whereas in Ferns and Petals, it would have already been known by the masses. So, how does that vision differ in a startup and an established company?
Good question. But before that question, I'll connect it back to the discussion that we were having in terms of work and life.
Hmm.
And I told you that I would have answered this questions 10 years back a little bit different than
Okay.
what my answer today is. In life, if you can get a good mentor, it really transforms you as a person and your journey as well. And
Okay.
while everything happens from within, सब
Hmm.
कुछ खुद को करना होता है और अपने आप ही करना होता है.
Hmm.
But if you can get a guru, a mentor to guide you and to show you the right path, then it just makes it so much more faster, so much more easier.
Hmm.
That happened with me when I joined Reliance Broadcast and I joined Big FM. At
Hmm.
that point of time, my CEO, Tarun Katyal,
Hmm.
and I got the opportunity to be guided by him. He became my mentor, which
Okay.
really transformed the way. I was looking at life overall. He's the one who introduced me to Vipassana.
Hmm.
And before going, there is, I always say that there is life before and after Vipassana.
Hmm.
Before I had gone, I looked at life in a very different manner and lived life in a different manner than what I did post that. Those 10 days were very transformational. And when I was going there, I was like, how will I go 10 days without a phone, without, any kind of media, so much of work happening around me? How will I leave it? What about my family? I had a newborn and all of that. He just told me one thing: go.
Hmm.
Life, not stop, just go. When I went there and came back, like I said, it was a transformational experience. There's so much that has evolved and changed from there on.
Hmm.
With Tarun, I realized that how you can live life to the fullest in every moment that is there. A lot of times, I used to see and I used to feel that, how is he able to do so much through the day?
Hmm.
So many things on top of everything. And what is so special? It is about the fact that you are in the moment at that point of time and giving your 100% to that. Now, whether that is work, whether that is family, whether that is a relationship, whether that is any other aspect of life, the moment you are 100% there and giving your full, without any judgment, without anything else. Coming back now to the question,
Hmm.
that one is that whether, like I said, with the stream, it is the same with a brand also. A brand needs to, today's day and age, be on toes and top of the things, whether you are an established brand or you are a startup.
Hmm.
Yes, as a startup, the challenge is that you have to make the consumer reach
Hmm.
the brand, and the brand reach a certain set of consumers.
Hmm.
That handshake has to happen. That first handshake is a bit difficult because there
Hmm.
are so many, you know, brands that are already around us, that for a brand to cut the clutter and to talk to a consumer is the first challenge. For that, you need a very, very strong proposition. You need a very clear proposition and clear winner of a product. And that product also is not in the first go कि आपने बनाया product और hit हो गया एकदम.
Hmm.
You start with the idea. You
Hmm.
start with the consumer side. We start with a gap in the market that may be existing,
Yeah.
and then you start to tie the product around. You start to build the proposition and so on, and it keeps evolving. What you thought of maybe at the start of the startup journey, when you were writing the presentation for your first investment, will be very different from what the product and the proposition may be looking like after 6 months of you launching the first MVP.
Okay.
And then after 6 months, again, the product will evolve and so on and so forth. It will continue to happen. Take up any example. Take up an example of say Facebook, which started off with just people connecting over a college.
Hmm.
Today has become a global brand. And then it became a place where people started to save pictures. Today it's become a place where people are going to see birthdays of other people, that when is the birthday occasion, etc. It's
Yeah.
evolved.
Hmm.
Product has evolved, consumer has also evolved. Consumer has now shifted from one product to the other. Today everybody's talking about Instagram. But if one, the brand will continue to evolve, and even established brand cannot become complacent.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a certain brand equity that that brand has in the market. There is a certain loyal base of customers that are there. But like we were talking about loyalty, loyalty is expensive. And for consumers to be loyal, you have to continue and consistently provide them with best of service, with best of products, with product innovation, with variety, and so on and so forth. There's so much that you need to do to keep that consumer in.
Yeah.
And whether you are an established brand or you are a startup brand, you have to look at it, because as a large brand, if you do a mistake, that mistake will also cost you a large amount. Every
Yeah.
experiment will be a big cost. Though you will have a budget to do a lot of experiments also, that will be there, but at the same time, some of the experiments may also have a big impact. Like you said, every post, every comment of a user can have a certain impact on us, on the brand.
Yeah.
Brand big or brand small, they team has to be on the toes and they have to do their best to deliver it to the consumer. The
Hmm.
challenges may be different for some of the brands which are in the early startup stage to a brand which has been established. But then for an established brand, how do you continue to reinvent? How do you continue to be relevant for the consumer which is there? If you take the example of FNP also, FNP has evolved so much over the period of time, starting from a retail store which was a flower store
Hmm.
to being a online retailer to being omnipresent across retail, across e-commerce with their own website, present across hyperlocal on Blinkit and Zeptos of the world and everybody else. It is transformed the way people today celebrate and gift. You can't continue while the core is celebration, while the core is delivering those emotions from the sender to the receiver, but the brand has evolved in terms of its proposition and its communication and so on.
What do you think in general is more difficult, like creating a brand ground up, like making its presence known, or as you said with FNP, maintaining the brand presence and image and growing it further, obviously? Where does the difficulty like differ?
डिफिकल्ट तो सब कुछ है, अगर देखो तो
Hmm.
सब कुछ ही
Hmm.
डिफिकल्ट लगेगा, तो कोई आसान नहीं लगेगा देखोगे तो मतलब a lot of people are not able to do what they want to do because of the fear of losing, of the fear of failure, of the fear of being unsuccessful, because they think it is difficult and they may not succeed. And at the same time, मजा उसी में है जो डिफिकल्ट है और चैलेंजिंग है.
Hmm.
Because only when you solve for the difficult and for what is challenging is when you are able to gain the most.
Yeah.
So bigger the risk, bigger the gain,
Hmm.
bigger the challenge, bigger the achievement.
Okay.
And that is why, again, it's not about startup में अपने challenges अलग हैं. When I speak to the team today, and when we are all working on a day-on-day basis at FNP, we don't work like a brand which is 30 years old brand.
Hmm.
We work like a startup. That's exactly what we say and what we believe. It is a startup. There is so much more that we need to do. There is so much more that we need to achieve. There are so many ways in which we can delight the consumer and make their celebrations even more meaningful, even more beautiful, that we've just started. Amazon is such a big company, and if you read what Jeff also says, is exactly that. It is always day zero for the company, that it's like day one of the company that is there.
Hmm.
For a large organization like Amazon, which has achieved so much,
Okay.
if you think, oh, I am a large brand and consumers know me and that ab to log mujhe kharidenge hi, and every brand is replaceable. There are so many brands that are doing good work job. You have to provide the best, whether you are a startup, which is an early stage startup, or you are a startup, which is a late stage.
Okay, that's different. I've never heard that, but yeah, it kind of makes sense that a big brand also shouldn't get complacent. And I think we have covered a lot, and I really like the basically the risk hai to ishq hai part that you said. And I want to kind of end it on like one liner, which obviously you can explain later on how to get to stage where you are at, like corporate, like successful corporate stage where you are at, like one liner to the youth on how to get there.
Whatever in life you
Hmm.
prioritize, get done.
Hmm. Okay,
What you don't,
hmm. But how do
that
you know if
journey,
you're prioritizing the right thing?
that everyone has a inner conscience.
Yeah.
Of us have that.
Hmm.
You will know when you're doing something, whether you're doing the right thing or you're not doing the right thing.
Hmm.
Each one of us, and nobody needs to tell us. No manager needs to tell their team. No colleague needs to tell. No parent needs to tell the student. No faculty needs to tell them. People know hand on heart what is right and what is not.
Hmm.
It is about whether you prioritize what is right for you at that point of time, or not. And that is why I said what you prioritize gets done.
Yeah.
If you prioritize something which was not so important in life, they will the gains will only be those many. But if you prioritize the right things, and then the second part is that God is in the detail. Anything that you do, if you are able to get into the details of it, and you're able to, really understand it to the depth, then you're able to, do it well, do it better, do it, and continue to do it better.
So you think
So
it's better to master one thing rather than know a little bit of many things?
it's not about knowing just one. You can know many things in
Yeah.
detail.
Hmm.
You can
That's
know many things in detail.
yeah.
And that is what you should do. You should not, learning is a continuous process. It's not like, you just go in. Yes, there are advantages of going deep into one subject and learning more about it. And there is so much more to learn in just an atom, which is the smallest particle. At the same time, there are so many other things in the world that also you can learn and go into detail. Superficial doesn't help.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, thank you. This was very insightful. I mean, from your obviously your marketing world to even like life as well. It was a damn insightful conversation and I took a lot from it. And I'm sure even the audience will. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rahil. Thank you so much. The conversation was very beautiful. I love to talk to you. Your questions also helped me also to go back into the many years of work and my school and college life. Uh, Thank you for this, and thank you for doing it.
Hi, I'm Rahil Joshi. Thank you for listening to the Ones Who Do podcast. I would definitely love to get some feedback from you all. So make sure to follow all my socials and stay tuned for more episodes. Thank you.